Hi guys, BuildZoid here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a bug that I found in the... Is it technically? Yeah, technically it's a bug in the X299X Designare's BIOS when it comes to memory overclocking, and I've already told Gigabyte about this. They're probably going to fix it. I don't know how quickly, but I figured, hey, if, you know, like... there's I don't think you're gonna hear about, like, if you have one of these X299 boards and let's say you watch my, like, one of the Gigabyte X299 boards, and let's say you watch my channel and you're having problems with memory overclocking, well, this is for you. Also, the motherboard here was provided by Gigabyte to me, so just as well as the CPU that I'm using, which is a 10980XE. Anyway, so here we are in the BIOS, and we're going to just do some, gentle memory overclocking. I'm on 4x8 memory. I'm on, 4x8 Samsung B-die here. So we're just going to go for a nice casual, 3800 megahertz at like, I don't know, CL16, right? CL16, 3800 sounds good to me. It's not what I wanted to punch in there. So there, we're going to go for these lovely settings right here. Just 16, 16, 16, 32, 34. And yeah, we're just going to punch in, 1.5 volts, which should be more than enough voltage to boot something like this. Yeah, we're just going to measure... I'm going to be measuring the memory VRM voltage while the board is booting, so... Damn it. There we go. So right now it's measuring 1.2 volts because stock DDR4 voltage is, of course, 1.2 volts. We're going to save and exit. There. So I obviously punched in 1.5 volts, and you'll notice that we're still getting 1.2. And we're still getting 1.2. And we're still getting 1.2. And... Still 1.2. Yep, that does not look like 1.5. And we're also not posting. And the board just kind of gave up. Well, you'll see that it just kind of gave up, so... yeah. So now it should post because it'll be in, like, back to stock settings. Luckily, the board's actually pretty good about recovering from crashes most of the time, as in it won't just wipe the BIOS most of the time, so that's nice. And also this does have the switch to disable the automatic BIOS switching. So anyway, we're back in the BIOS. We're at 2133 megahertz, so evidently my 3800 megahertz CL16 did not stick. Our voltage is still here, right? We're still set to 1.5 volts. So now let's make 3800 CL16 work, shall we? So we just go over here, we punch in 1.5, and then we go down over here, we punch in 1.5. Then we're going to hit F10. I should have also disabled fast boot, but too late for that. And now we get 1.5 volts right off the bat. Immediately, we just go straight to 1.5 volts. And so basically the issue is that Gigabyte screwed up the auto setting for memory training voltage. So the way the memory training voltage setting is supposed to behave is that it's supposed to be equal to your VDIM unless you intentionally change it. And there are reasons for why you would maybe want to train at a lower voltage or maybe a higher voltage, right? Like, depending on the memory sticks, there's potentially reasons to do both of those. So it is nice to have control over training voltage, right? So I'm just going to show you what training voltage does. I'm going to punch in 1.4 volts. I'm also going to have to disable fast boot because otherwise it's just going to skip the training process, which is kind of the whole point of fast boot is that it skips the memory training process. And you can see we're at 3800 megahertz right now, right? Go down to 1.4. Yeah, so basically the problem is that if you have the training voltage on auto, it doesn't follow your VDIM. It'll just sit at 1.2 volts. I think if you have XMP enabled, it'll sit at your XMP voltage. But that basically means if you're doing any manual memory overclocking, it's going to kind of suck. So yeah, you have to set the voltage yourself. We're just going to disable fast boot because the training voltage is the voltage, like it's basically the memory voltage used during initial boot. So now you should, yeah, you can see that the voltage drops down a bit, right? Down to 1.4 volts. And then it's going to come back right back up as soon as it finishes training. So that's sort of the idea behind training voltage. But the problem is if your training voltage is just too low or potentially too high, then obviously it's not going to post. And right now the problem with the board is that if you leave it on auto, it's just going to, the training voltage is going to be too low, and you're not going to be able to boot anything particularly impressive. Yeah, there's no operating system. I'm aware. That's on purpose. I don't want an operating system right now. Yeah. So, and if you have your XMP profile enabled, then it should actually go to your XMP voltage. So I'm just going to quickly show that it does that. Or at least I suspect it does that, because I've not actually tested that part. Like, I only tested the part where it's like, what if you don't have any voltages set? Because yeah, I was, you know, doing some memory overclocking this last couple days with this board, and it was going really badly. And it's just like, well, it's because there's a bug in the BIOS, and that's basically it. So we're just gonna punch in A. What the hell? No, that's not where I want to be. And an A over there. Gonna go back. I'm going to enable XMP, which, yeah. I think the memory settings are still overridden, right? Because I don't want the XMP profile to actually change any of the timings or anything, because it might actually, yeah, okay. We're still on the same timings. Now if we press yes. And yeah, you can see now it goes all the way down to 1.35 volts, which is the XMP voltage for this memory kit. So basically, if I was trying to push for some, like, these are memory sticks that I regularly bench with. So let's say I was trying to do, like, I don't know, 3800, which I've not managed on this board yet. But I have done 3733 CL12 on this board. Well, for that, I need, like, 1.8 volts training voltage. If you don't manually set your training voltage, it's not going to... It's obvious, like, there's no way in hell it's going to post that, right? So... yeah, and that's basically why I've been having huge problems with like memory overclocking the last couple days. And Gigabyte should have this patched. I have no idea. I just don't know when. And I don't think it's fair to keep people who already have the boards in the dark about like such a basic little issue that there is, because it's really not that big a deal. It's just there's nothing, like there's no way you're gonna know that this is a problem unless you're like, well, unless you're me or on like my level, which I'm not trying to imply that I'm on some ridiculously high level. I'd rank myself pretty low as far as extreme overclockers go, but you know, just like that's already like way too that's already off the deep end, right? So yeah, the training voltage not working the way it's supposed to is kind of a pretty major issue. Anyway, I do just want to show off, so we're going to load up a kind of silly profile of 4200 megahertz CL14. As you can see, the voltage is very red because you should not be feeding your memory sticks 1.8 volts on the regular, mostly because with Samsung BDI, it doesn't actually work at 1.8 volts properly. Like, you're not going to make it, like, there's a bunch of stuff you need to do to Windows. Oh, and we actually lost a memory channel. So yeah, that's the thing, is because we were at 1.35 volts for the training at... what was it? 3800 CL16. At 1.35 volts, my memory sticks won't do that reliably, so we lost channel C there. But anyway, let's try 4200 at CL14. My arm is starting to hurt from holding the probe on the board. I'm actually kind of annoyed they didn't send me an X299 Master, because, I mean, X299X Master, not the old Master, the new Master, because that actually has voltage read points. Whereas here, I'm just trying to stab some random capacitors, which is really not that fun. Anyway, yeah, does 4200 CL14 just like that. It's pretty neat. You just have to set all of your voltages, because obviously if I put the training voltage back to auto, it's not going to post again. Because this doesn't even have XMP enabled, so it's going to be trying to do 4200 CL14 at 1.2 volts. Yeah, fast boot is disabled. This BIOS takes a while to shut down. Yeah, and you can see we're back down at 1.2 volts, and it's not going to train. Yeah. So that's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, so yeah, if you have one of the new X299X Gigabyte boards and you're having problems with memory overclocking, just set the training voltage and that'll fix it. And for the training voltage generally, like, you'd want to set it to equal to your VDIM. So if you're setting your VDIM for daily use to say 1.5 volts, you'd want to set your training voltage to 1.5 volts as well. There are certain scenarios in which it might make sense to set, say, 1.55 volts for training and then go down to 1.5 volts like operating voltage, or setting like 1.45 volts training voltage and then going up to 1.5 volts operating voltage, right? And like, I've run into that at like 1.85 volts, where I've had motherboards where if I wanted to boot like settings that need like 2 volts to run, I'd have to train them at like 1.85 volts, because the motherboard just didn't, like, that motherboard with that CPU just wouldn't want to train at higher voltages than 1.85 volts properly. Yeah, like at lower voltages, you really shouldn't run into that. So, you know, if you don't plan to spend forever tweaking your memory, just set your DRAM training voltage to the same thing as your VDIM, and you should be just fine. So, yeah, also the BIOS that I'm on is the F3B BIOS, but I also had this issue on, like, I had all the same memory overclocking problems on an older BIOS as well. So I'm 99% certain that that BIOS had that exact same bug as well. Had this exact same bug as well. So, yeah, I assume by BIOS F4 it'll be fixed, right? Or F4B or whatever it is that they end up calling it. So, yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. And if you'd like to support what I do here with Patreon, with the channel, you know, then I do have a Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below. And if you don't want to use Patreon and instead you'd like to buy like a shirt, a sticker, or a poster, or socks, or I do have hoodies. Yes, I do have hoodies. Well, there's like one hoodie, but anyway, yeah, if you'd like to buy some of the usual YouTuber merch stuff to support the channel, there's a link to the AHOC Teespring store down in the description below as well. Both that and the Patreon help out immensely with running the channel. And yeah, and funds things like this here multimeter, because actually, like, the motherboard, the actual test system here is it's like I didn't have to buy anything in it, but the test equipment I use, yeah, I still have to buy all of that, of course. So yeah, because I'm probably not gonna get sponsored by like an oscilloscope manufacturer anytime soon. So yeah, anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.